that my partner can hit, so I'm not just blazing, and I've got to my ball's got to have the right shape in order to hit that cone down there. So, excuse me. Let's say we have 3 courts going. We have 12 players. So we don't start practice. We don't go to step 2 until 10 cones are down. As soon as the cone gets down, 1, 2, 3, and that's take 5 to 7 minutes. But there's purpose to it. So it's a perfect secondary question. Hit as many forehands and backhands that are copied from the patterns of play that they need to win matches. Get rid of, I'm just hitting balls, I'm just hitting balls, I'm just grooving. You can do that anyway. That's a byproduct. Great, love that. Sorry, you were, I think this gentleman was next.
So with your, let's say with the serve +1 strategy, what is how do you coach defense against that? How do you respond to that? So you have a player, you know, that hits the serve, and then they're running around their forehand, and they're doing those things. So was saying that we're telling our juniors that the points are going to end quickly, that we need to plan on that, and so what's our response to that, telling the junior how to respond in the match? So
Nadal's a great one because he's the best in the world at running around everything, and it's very, very simple. Anyone that runs around, even a return a serve, you go the other way. You go the other way first. You attack Nadal's forehand wide first. So Nadal's forehand's in deep.
You hit the strength to get to the weak.
Yes, yes, which is counterintuitive. In order, you know, it basically for Nadal, it really doesn't matter how many forehands he hits in C and D. It absolutely matters how many forehands he hits in A and B, because he will hit comparatively many more winners and make far less errors in A and B as a runaround. The runaround forehand skyrockets the winners and really drops the errors. So that's what you do against that. Yes, sir?
I think the question Bill was asking was, at one point in the presentation you said this is what wins, and in 2 years from now your percentage of points are going to go up, and then the question is, how do you explain that to the parents? I mean, you can explain it to them, but if they're losing because they're doing something that's good for them 2 years from now, obviously it takes good communication, but a lot of the parents don't have the patience for development.
Yeah,
they want to see the win.
I needed to be clear with that, because there's 2 schools of thought. There's one school of thought that says, I need to get, in order for me to learn something, I need to get worse at it. I need to take my lumps and I need to get worse in order to get better. I don't believe in that at all. 0. I believe if you start running patterns today, you'll start winning today. Of all of these things, and when I was a younger coach, 10 or 15 years ago, I did get caught up in the okay, and I did, you know, say that and think that and believe that sometimes you have to get worse to get better. When you run patterns and you teach a person a pattern of play that works well, it works today. You don't have to wait for that to start working. The only, you know, if you're changing from a 2-handed backhand to a 1-handed backhand, maybe you have a 2-handed backhand volley that the kid can make, and you see that, you know, ultimately they're going to be 6'4" and they need a 1-handed backhand volley, maybe that's there. But any pattern of play, you completely get rid of the idea that players need to get worse before they get better. Players can start getting better immediately unless there's something really weird.
Yeah, but Craig, they can't even execute it, set up forehand. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We got to get it routine somehow.
Yeah, so then we go back to the question earlier. If you can't execute a runaround forehand, if you can't put it in, then you're doing service line to service line with an orange ball or a green ball or a red ball or just a normal ball, and you just back everything down. I'm all about progressions. Everything I do is progressions. So if I find, Bill, great point, if I find a player that can't do that, I immediately will stop teaching the runaround forehand to them. And I will progress back to see what they actually can achieve. So when you think of progressions, you think of it like this. Stage 1 of any progression is I'm standing still, doing it without, no ball, no racket. This is, you know, the kid's doing this, it's like, no, we need to do this. So unless they can do that progression with an arm, no racket, no ball, I don't go to the next one. They've got to earn the right. And again, show me 7 out of 10 good, I'll progress you to the next one. So the next thing is progression 1, no racket, no ball. Progression 2, we're now got a racket. Progression 3, maybe we're standing in the right part of the court with a racket. Progression 4, maybe the ball's dropped right next to them. Progression 5, maybe it's thrown out of the hand to them. Progression 6, you extend it. Progression 7, now I'm at the net. Progression 8, now I'm at on the service line. Progression 9, they've got to hit 10 past there. So if they can't hit a run around forehand, I go back. Maybe the run around forehand is progression 21. I go back and find what they can do. I may have to go back to 5. And I'm like, gotcha. Now let's start building. Don't keep, I think that's another thing that we don't do well, is that we want them to be a progression 22, but their real level is 8. Go to 8, work at 8, go to 9, work at 9, go to 10, get good at 10. 7 out of 10. Progressions is everything.
Tennis.
Yes.
So when the rallies are always long, they're longer, but
Yep.
I'm assuming that your whole premise in this is if you improve your serve, like we're thinking a lot of our friends, they just get their serves in. Well, if they had a bigger serve,
Yeah.
then maybe the points would be. So do you think it would be the same as what I'm saying at all different levels? Or?
Don't fight the fact that they play longer. I don't. I embrace that. Not every rally level is going to be the same. So the high school kids that don't have the weapons to put it away, they're basically saying, my best advantage is to get a bunch of balls in. That's great. That's fantastic. We embrace that. So what you then do is you say, okay, my player is not really going to develop in the next 2 or 3 years into a normal competitive junior playing national tournaments. So I need to maximize their abilities with what they have. I would spend some of your time on the tools, because there's got to be some funkiness in some swings for sure.
Right.
So you just make them fundamentally sound. For sure you've got to do that. But then the next thing you do is you teach them smart rallying, and especially you teach them the value of depth. So, I would do, because most errors happen in the first 4 shots, you can have a great rule with your high school team, go and play a set, and any error in the first 4 shots is worth 2 for the opponent. Again, I said I do 10 drills. One of the 10 is called Race to Zero. I'm sure you guys have done variations on it. It's nothing outstanding, but it is an outstanding drill. I start at 5 points, you start at 5 points. If I hit a winner, I go up. If I make an error, I go down. The drill ends if either player gets to 10 because they've added 5 winners, or they get to 0 because they've made enough errors to drop to 0. You'll go 2 years without anyone getting to 10. And then some fluky, random kid that hits every ball in and the kid just set it up, they'll be to 10. What the kids will understand is that it's always going to be errors. So if you can first and foremost get it in their mind that race to 0 when they both start at 5 nearly always ends at 0, that then they need to go and play a match like that they need to make 4 balls to give the opponent an opportunity to miss in those 4 shots, and they need to have height, they need to have a bit of spin, and they need to have depth. So this is what we see here. Take this as a roadmap that you will adjust for high school tennis, that you will adjust for ladies at a club, that you will adjust for good juniors. It's fluid, and that's the beauty of it. It's, somebody comes out and asks me, well, what if you're a left-hander? Well, what a great question. We love left-handers. I'm a left-hander. That's good. All of these what-ifs are good what-ifs. But we have never had, our entire sport, the history of our sport, has never had numbers. It's never had. And so we've always gone from the viewpoint that it's a game of feel. How do you feel? How does the weather feel? How does the ball feel? How did breakfast feel on my stomach right now? We've never come from the standpoint that tennis is 70% over in the first 4 shots, because practice definitely does not reflect that. Anything else? This is probably even more important than the doubles. Any more questions? I can race through this and you're going to get the numbers on it. This will go quick. This is 30 minutes. Yes, sir.
What do you think about, and what purpose would it have to, and I know you adjust, if for some days you want to work on some things, you use a different color ball, for instance. It's my understanding that all Australian high schools now are using a green dot Is that so?
I have no idea.
I think I've heard just recently that the green dot for high school tennis in Australia is all green dots.
No idea.
I've never held an entire practice with a green dot ball, but I was just, occasionally
Yeah.
I'll use it for certain things, and I'll
Yeah.
throw it in there to work on things, but
I would.
is there any purpose in it, or any
You can shoot an email to Tennis Australia and ask them. That for sure, they'll be able to help you with that. And there's, yeah, I just don't know. And I was just there, and I didn't hear it mentioned, so that I don't know. I'm sorry. Next. Yes, sir.
You mentioned the dominance of the forehand, and I saw Tipsarevic serving from a singles position. It was like a doubles serve position, with the centre hash to the sidelines on the outside, so
Yeah.
that he was in position C to hit forehands. Now everyone does that in table tennis, every table tennis player.
So he's standing real wide in the ad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are your opinions of that? I mean, obviously in table tennis you've got less court coverage if they play
Yeah.
down the line. On a tennis court they could hit, but it's daring the guy to hit down the line.
Yeah,
at a low
he's
shot.
just been a sneaky little serve is what he's doing. He did it, he did it. I sat in one of the best matches I've ever seen live, very front row, Arthur Ashe, Tipsarevic, Ferrer, quarterfinal, 7-6 in the fifth, 3 years ago, I think. And he did it then. And he's just trying to throw off. He's just, it is a benefit of a forehand, even though he's got a ridiculously good backhand. It is a benefit of a forehand. It is a benefit of, you can hit 8 better. It doesn't even matter if Ferrer knows it. Ferrer's so pulled off court that he can't hit a quality ball, and Ferrer's not going to hurt him to A consistently. So it has advantages. But more so, I think Tipsarevic is doing it to just throw a wrinkle, throw a curveball. What's he doing? Make Ferrer, bring him out of his zone a little bit. We can adapt this. This needs to be adapted at the different levels. But start with it as a baseline. And we saw from the junior data, I'm already amazed by what I've seen from Warren and other data that we've looked at, how close 12s, 14s, 16s, 18s, how close it just washes. I had no idea. I would think it would be different. I would think women's tennis would put up vastly different numbers than men's. Basically the only real difference is the power on the first serve. But Serena's first serve is faster than Ferrer's, Hewitt's, I think Tipsarevic as well. A lot of those guys. Yes, sir.
I'm thinking, like, for the recreational player, 3-0, 3-5, even 4-0, during a play, lesson, and you're talking about the first 4 shots, and if everyone leaves getting really much better at the first 4 shots, instead of thinking, oh, I got a lob here, there, they're gonna walk away from that lesson like that was a really good lesson. So I appreciate your presentation on the first strike. I mean, and when can that be? Because I see that all the time. Is a player might not be visually as good as another player, technically speaking, but they strike much quicker.
Yeah.
The other player strikes much quicker, and they tend to win. So.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I found it really interesting, the beginning of your presentation about the 55% rule. How do you exactly use that with the competitive player? Do you use that to show them, okay, you're going to lose 45%, or the importance of one shot, or the importance of 1%? What is that?
I use it in a very specific way. Is that pros, because they play a lot of, only 18 tournaments count. Very rarely will a pro only play 18. They'll play 25. So in their mind, they got 7 tournaments that don't matter. Because they don't. So they'll get loose in practice, they'll hit it, they'll think hitting a few balls up and down the middle of the court's okay. They'll think, throwing a match or not trying as hard in a match is okay. They feel like they've got some fat that they can play around with. And what I show them is there's no fat to play around with whatsoever. 0. That you can, you think Novak's destroying everyone this year, that 1% matters. So if you're going to, that's how hard it is. We know what he's done. So the patterns of play, what I use it to do is reinforce patterns of play. If you go out there playing randomly and don't really have control of what you're doing, and control of your destiny, you're not going to get those points. Your opponent's going to get those points. So I use it to hammer home the importance that A serve out wide and a run around forehand to the primary pattern of C plus works. And why didn't you do it there? Why a 3-all, 30-all did you go serve out wide and settle for a backhand, and then he has a run around forehand, and then all of a sudden 4 shots later you're done? So I'll use to say that shot right there just cost you $20,000. And the ranking points, and the points that you didn't get. Everything flows on. You just extrapolate it out. Guys, awesome. Anything else? So in general, let's wrap it up. In general, we do less hitting without purpose. Even the warm-up, hit a cone. 2 guys hitting cones back and forth. We do less hitting back and forth to each other up and down the middle of the court. We do less things that if you see something happen in a match, you've got 7 green lights to go and do it in practice. But if you're on a practice court and you're like, this doesn't really happen in a match, I get rid of it. I used to have, my practices when I first started as a coach were way more fun. Way more fun. Lots of running, lots of hitting, lots of energy. And in some parts that was good. But the players weren't winning matches because the players weren't learning how to win. I adjusted my coaching to make it match-based coaching. And I think, you've got to have it, if you're at a club coach and you're coaching some ladies and, winning's part of it, but also I want to make sure they come back next week. This needs to have an element of fun in there. Yeah, for sure. You got to mix that up. You got to find the right balance. But at the same time, you're also paying for your expertise and your knowledge. And the smarter and the more numbers and the more things you can back it up with, the better. Yes, sir.
If you compare the American tennis to the European tennis, it seems like the Europeans have more control, they stay more consistent, their stamina is, they can last longer. What do you think we're doing here, or what do you think the problem is here?
The problem is practice. It's the problem. So everyone talks about what's the problem with American tennis. The organization of the practice is not reflective of the match. Way more. It's simply hours clocked. There's way more of a thought of as a benefit here. Whereas I think European tennis will be more specific with their practice. I think over here is a little bit more, let's just bang a bunch of balls. And American players will chase the open court more, won't play behind as much because of that. They'll go for shots that really aren't there. European players in general will play better defense because they understand the value of getting that ball back. Whereas an American player in general will play more offense on defense. And that's where you're going to make the most amount of errors on the tennis court, is playing offense on defense. Those subtleties. Also the general patience. I think a European player in general is just a more patient kind of player. They're still first strike, but they're not panicking to get it done.
Well, I think a lot of that comes from, and I know all of us have experienced this, is you send 2 14-year-olds out to hit, and 2 hours later you go, how did it go? And they're good, and you go, well, who won? They didn't play. They just want to hit. Yeah. They're afraid to play each other. Yep. And Europeans will get together and they'll play, they travel together, they practice together, and they play matches where American kids don't like to lose, so they don't want to play each other.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I see that. The practice court, like I said at the start, my practice court has a lot of practice points. Practices in general need to have a lot more matches. Kids need to play matches. I was the kid that ran home from school, ran to the court. I had many days where we kind of did it as a joke, but we had no warm-up. No, let's just serve. Okay, let's go. Let's just see if I can break my shoulder on this first serve. It's stupid. But my match tolerance went through the roof. I don't think that's necessarily happening here. Yes, sir.
What about say you have a group of, say, 8 juniors.
Yep.
And then you just throw them on the court and you just start doing games with point play situations from the very first ball. I mean, because I do that a lot.
Yeah.
Because I believe in point play and match play, and especially in the winter, you're limited with the indoor court
Yeah.
availability. So we do that a lot.
Yeah.
I feel that, I mean, personally, I feel that we get a lot more out of that than just sheer repetition.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know, any comments?
Start a point, yeah, like if I get a bunch of kids, let's say 4 on one court, you got 4 on the other, I would start a drill with 4, I would do a run around forehand drill. So you start, everyone starts in the middle, and I feed over there, and the run around forehand has got to go, it has to go through the A chord to C+. Use sidewalk chalk. Get at your clubs, grab sidewalk chalk and draw areas. Draw a C, draw a big circle, draw a C+, draw A, B, C, D, draw things on the court. It washes off. It's one of the best things you'll ever do is draw on a tennis court with chalk. I do approaching drill with 4 players, so the 3 combine their score against 1, and I do every round. I do the best, you start with the best, forehand approach to the backhand. I didn't have it in here. Roger Federer's, I did like a 15 match deal. When Federer approached with his forehand, it was, I'm guessing around very close, I think it's like 73% was his win percentage. When he approached with a backhand, 51. Big difference. So everyone gets to play to 10. They get to approach to the backhand, and then the next one is backhand to backhand, then the next one is forehand to forehand, and last I do backhand to forehand. Because sometimes you have to do those other scenarios, you have no choice, you just kind of, it's just where the ball is, but you also show them, they're learning, like, well, that was tough. That was really tough coming in with my backhand, these forehand. You're right. Tennis is a sport where if we tell you, it doesn't mean a whole lot. You got to do it and you got to fail. Failure is the greatest thing ever. Tennis is what you've got to go out there and experience it yourself. And all these parents that want to shield their kids away from failure and shield them away from losing, you know, I say the word good loss, well done, good error all the time. It's good miss, good miss, good miss. I call it the good error bridge. So, you know, on one side is you today, on the other side is the improved you. How do you get over that river? You build the bridge. Each brick is a good error. Good error, good error, good error, good error. And you teach that in your practices. So yeah, lots more play, lots more matches, lots more points. Play points. I go get 2 kids, don't play a match. If you hit a backhand as your first shot after the serve, you just lost it. It'll happen. Is there a time to hit a serve and a backhand? Yes. But if you go to the extreme and let them experience it and see what they can and can't do, you get somewhere. Who's ready for 30 minutes of speed doubles? Actually, 20 minutes of speed doubles. We are going to rip through this thing. Woo! Okay, sip of water. Any emails? Again, my card's here. If afterwards, the next days and weeks, any more questions, please feel free to email and call. Okay. Are you guys ready? Let's fly. Doubles. In singles, forcing errors. Here's the funny thing. What's the only stat you don't see on a singles stat sheet? Forcing errors. That's the number one thing. So again, we're looking at men. In doubles, I would never have thought winners. Winners are the number one way. Above forcing errors and above unforced errors drops, winners go through the roof. And we'll figure out why in a second. But winners rule doubles. There's the ladies, same for the ladies. Ladies were forced errors over there. And again, this data is 2015 Australian Open, second round to the final. There was some first round data that just wasn't collected on court 82, wasn't there, so I just took the first round out. It's all second round to the final. As you would expect, rally length, 81% of all points in doubles at 0-3-4 goes up. 2%, who cares? Don't worry about it. Rally length, 2.9 shots, so 3. Serve, return, first volley, next ball doesn't come back. That's doubles. You could go and play. You can absolutely go and play practice sets of doubles where there's only 4 shots and catch. And if the ball's still in play, replay the point because it won't happen that much. Now this was interesting. I looked, where was the last shot hit? We've got a lot of last shot data. Now, Fognini Bolelli won this tournament. This is all 2015. They won it. And there were some other players. We've got some players that stayed back. This isn't everyone serving and volleying on every ball. We got players back. The last shot is hit at the net 7 times out of 10. The last shot, whether it was a winner or an error, the last ball, we're still a net game in doubles. The server, again, it's the shockwave of the serve. The shockwaves of the serve, basically 2 out of 3, the last shot is hit by the serving team. Something you would expect, but we've never known that number. Again, these numbers are all on this sheet that we'll give email to you tomorrow. Last shot winner. Where are the winners happening? Nearly all at the net. So when you stay back, you're not staying back to hit a winner. You're staying back to set your net player up. So the old way is let's come forward and both hit volley winners. The new way is I'll stay back and make the other guy uncomfortable so you at the net can hit a volley winner. All the winners are still there. Last shot error, great news for the net. It's only half at the net and half at the baseline. So the net doesn't get hammered, even though all the action's at the net. It's still 50-50. Volleys are positive at the net, overheads are positive. If you want to serve, this is last shot serving. You want to serve and stay back, losing. You want to serve and lob, losing. You want to serve and hit a ground stroke winner, no chance. Stop it. Last shot for the returning team. You have a winning percentage at the net, you have a winning percentage of overheads, and everything else is a disaster. If you're the returning team, don't stay back. Well, stay back if you have to, but don't try and hit a winner from the back of the court. That's what it's saying. The passing shot winner, we got 30%, 30% winners, 70% errors, 96% errors in ground stroke winners. Ground stroke is I'm back and you're back. When I'm back and you're back, trying to hit a winner is impossible. First serve percentage rises a little bit. We make more first serves. We've got a partner at the net that can clean up. It helps. First serve percentage should go up. Second serve, the win percentage, about the same. Just interesting stuff right now. I didn't know any of this. Second serve win percentage goes up a little bit in doubles. Unreturned serves go up a little bit in doubles because more first serves are going in and the guy at the net swarming in. Return winners, more than double, as you would expect, does well. Forehand, now this is interesting. The forehand, remember the forehand's hit from the baseline. We've already established the net's great. So in singles, 35% of all winners were from the forehand. So let's say the sword was 4 foot long. When you go in and play doubles, your sword is now 2 foot long. The forehand winners drop dramatically. They basically half. Backhand, exactly the same. If you think you've got a huge forehand in singles, great. In doubles, it's not as effective. We've got more variables in doubles, more situations in doubles. Center window. This is basically everything. So if you were asleep, wake up for 30 seconds and here it is. Again, I created this. This is the C+. C+ in a singles court. This is the most important piece of real estate in a doubles court. It's the width of an alley times 2 and the height of the net. So you have a 9 by 9 foot wide. That's 2 alley widths and 3 foot high, which is the height of the net in the middle. We've got, this is Vegas from a few years ago, early Graham versus the Bryans, with a little bit of dartfish action in there. All 4 players hit the ball. Can it go down the line? Yes. Can it be a lob? Yes. Can it be a short angle? Yes. There's doubles. Bill?
You know, we had 2 guys that are playing tonight. Drawing a blank in the last name. Eric and Scott, they're doubles tonight here.
Buderak and Lipsky.
Yeah, and, we were talking about the Bryan brothers and what their weaknesses were, how they play on the strategy, and that was one of their points was that they thought, I don't know if I misunderstood them, it sounded like they were, it was a weakness because they pinched the middle too much. I would argue that that's why they're so good, is because they cover the middle so much.
Yeah, they historically, at their best, they completely own that area.
Yeah.
So that's what we need to teach our kids and our ladies. And listen, I've coached my fair share of ladies doubles, ladies club doubles, trust me. Oh my God. I've done so many, I did, at T-Bar, I did 7 straight years of like 9 to 10:30, 10:30 to 12, Monday through Friday. I've done my dues. I've taught them all of this. All of this. Everything washes over and helps them. That picture is in on that sheet. That's a doubles court. 2 big ends, 1 small window or 1 small neck in the middle where everything flows through. If you don't control it, playing the Bryans and the Bryans control it, stop playing there immediately. Granolas and Lopez, lob, 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 lob. Play somewhere else. If the other team is better in the center, you've got to play somewhere else. Where you stand matters, so I like to put the service partner dead in the middle of that box. Normally they're going to be sometimes too close, certainly they're going to be too wide covering the alley. Dead middle of the box. Returns partner, I put them behind the line. A lot of the pros are inside there, they're gambling. Gamble on a second serve, don't gamble on a first serve, because if the service partner gets the ball, then you go right through the center. Behind that line buys you a little bit more reaction time. And those are great spots to start. Nearly every player from our high school teams to our ladies to our 4-0, they're not lining up like that. They've got their own weird variation that they think is better. It's not. We've got 1 up, 1 back. Great, that's 1 variation. Staggered, fantastic, the best by far. And equal. Equal's not the best. Staggered, that is better than that, and we'll get more into that. You don't want to have a rope between the 2 players, but certainly a rubber band where you feel if a player moves, then you'll take a step or 2 sometimes to go and cover the middle. You need to know where your partner is on the court. Eyes are forward. We don't want to, so many times the returner's partner looks at the serve, takes a step forward, is looking back, and all of a sudden the service partner is just putting the ball right through their forehead. Keep the eyes forward at almost all times. You can sneak a look back there every now and then, but keep the eyes forward. Once the serve is hit, nearly every line on the court vanishes. We're going to have a look at that as a second. A couple of good rules for doubles. Good doubles is simply beach volleyball. You have a setter at the back, that's your role. You set. You have a person at the front, you finish. You're the spiker. Set a spiker. Set a spiker. Explain doubles to people that way. People think the back player is a spiker who also is a setter. No, you're not. You need to set the front player up. So there's a good doubles court. Lines are gone. As soon as the serve hits, everything's gone. So I give the net player far more territory at the front. And don't get too hung up about this over here. I mean, the ball is rarely going to come here. But, and you can see it's a little bit of an angle there. So what happens always is, I'll just go back to that. So the front player, the net player over there, the service partner, if this is the server, service partner says, okay, this is really clear. I'm standing on the left, so I know my side. I'm a left player. I'm at the front, so it's very clear. I'm the front player. But the center window is everything. It doesn't matter if you're side and front. It matters if you're middle. So in this instance, this player is the middle player. One of the things that I highly encourage you to do is assign the middle of the court and make sure the ball's over there, this player is covering it. I've heard other coaching where it's like the ball goes wide, I'm going to go cover my alley, and the back player's going to cover the middle. I don't see that as effective as having the front player go and cover the center window. That's good doubles. That's good doubles. But you've got to kind of get rid of all those other lines in order to see that clearly. You know, it's this player at the front, they cover the short lob, they don't cover the deep lob. This player is a deep player. This player is a middle player. This player is backing up. This player is setting and helping that front player do all they can. Great formation there. Really good. This player can move in all they want, and they can go up. Actually, we'll go back to that. They can go, actually, we've got a slide on that. Over times they can go up. But generally there, it's a good home base. That person generally covers short, other person generally covers deep. Yes, sir?
Quick comment on the handedness of the net person. If that's a right-hander at net, they can cover that middle quite easily.
In the juice court, yes. In the juice court, yes.
Juice court, yeah. So I know when I set them up, I respect handedness a lot with what I do.
Yeah. So you talking about high school players?
Yes, yeah, high school players,
Yeah.
recreational club
Yeah.
players.
Yeah. They're typically like on the other side with a backhand volley. You would not release them. You would not release the liners with the backhand volley. They can move forward if we see no lob coming, the ball's dropping, to get better angles and take time away. You can move in, but in general, you need to see that there's no lob coming first. You know, the front player in general gets it, but of course there's a time where the front player is going across and it becomes so tough, so incredibly tough, that they say yours. Because this other player is standing over here and goes, that ball's coming right to my volley. Right here. So if you take it in front of me, that's fine, but you better be able to do something with it. If you're any bit defensive, I've got you. I've got you back there. Don't follow the ball. I'm sure, you know, when I was at T-Bar, and I used to say this a lot, you know, if the ball goes wide, you follow the ball. I'm standing here, my partner's back there, ball goes there, I go this way. Sometimes. What's far better, because what you're doing is you're looking for the ball to give you the clues on where it's going to come back. And the ball gives you very few clues. The body gives you all the clues. So if you see the opponent's uncomfortable, if you see any of these things from the opponent, they are not going down the line. So if they get pulled wide and they're taking a big step, you go to the center, because that's where they're going to go. If you see slice, if you see jam, if you see jumping, if you see really low, anytime they're uncomfortable, the old follow the ball says go this way. What I prefer is I see that you're in trouble, I'm going to the center window to go and get that ball. That's where you must play. So opponent's comfortable, we can kind of go at them. Even then, we don't go to the line too early because we're taking ourselves out of play. But that's the big one. That's what players don't normally do. An uncomfortable opponent moving wide means net player to the middle. Don't change directions. Ladies are playing, I say, if you change directions and you win the point, that's fine. No drama. But if you change directions and lose the point, it's 2 for the other team. So I stand on the side of the court, you know, the ladies, you coach them for, you try and make them better for an hour, and then in the second half hour, it's like, okay, let's play. So I stand there and I give them the rule. And if cross court is fine, middle is even fine. But they're going to change directions without even knowing it. And I just said, there's a change. And they all know immediately that whoever made the change, if they lose it, they just lost 2 points. Because they're changing directions for no good reason. Doubles is like a hockey power play. You've got, you know, you've got these 5-on-5 and the guy hits the other guy in the head and he gets sent off. So you've got an unfair, it's uneven. Well, in doubles, you've got 2, the serve and the service partner can make the return hit every ball. So 2-on-1. Play 2-on-1 for 100 points and see how that ends. The 2 will win that. So right here, the serving team down the other end is set up really well, covering all the angles. But if it changes directions, you've got that massive hole through the middle. If you change directions in doubles, it better be for a winner or really making the opponents uncomfortable. There's your hockey power play. Don't cover the line. Don't cover the line. Rule of 3. Beat me 3 times, I'll respect it. Typically, it's not my fault. It's the player at the back getting the ball wide. In general, the serving team wants to kick the ball in the middle of the court. A ball in the middle will come back in the middle, and the service partner is the first player that can dive in. Serving team, middle, middle, middle. Lots of middle. Returning team, wide, 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 lots of chaos. Returning team wins the chaos points. Returning team generally wins the wide points. You've also got another option as a returning team is to take over the center. If you can get one down the middle, and then you can say, okay, you started as the middle team, but now we're going to take over the middle team. As the middle team. We've got that one. You know, give up at least half the alley, at least. Just go too good. I mean, if you're back here feeding a ball to the returner, and you feed him, excuse me, 10 balls, how many is actually going to land in the outside half of the alley anyway, off a fed ball? So difficult to hit. Completely different in doubles and singles. 1 and 8 were great in singles as primaries. In the juice court, typically the returner in the juice court is there because they've got a really good forehand return. So you serve a wider tee in the juice, and the secondary is out wide. That's typically where it's going to go. You go to the center window. In the ad, you got to go find the weakness. A lot more discovery in the ad. The better returner is typically there. The better backhand return is typically there. Get it low at the feet. I aim at the side tee a lot. It's a good target to get to because it's going to pull the ball back to the returner's partner and you're opening this up. If you can return to B, in the juice court, return to B, it's going to make the server hit a backhand and it's going to bring the returner's partner into play. Ad court, you can go wide, you can catch a backhand late. You get the volley winner through the center. Last couple, we've got 1 minute left. We've got 27 slides in 1 minute. Here we go. The J. So the J is only the returner's partner. It's in your notes. It's on, you got a long movement forward. You're faking like you're going that way. But right as the opponent hits it, you J and you cut to the middle. And that's what it looks like. Sorry, that's what it. I'll show you that one. That's what it looks like from this end. So you're forward. You're pretending that you're covering that. You don't care about that at all. The V, players usually just stand too close to the net as a service partner and only cover in front. The V is about expanding that area and especially getting it, the center window involved there. Got that, got that. Volley targets, if we're the service partner, look at the net strap. I always look at the net strap to remind myself which direction I'm moving. My first, any high ball, any easy ball, you go middle. I then go wide over there. I'm visualizing these. My soft touch, especially as a lefty, my backhand volley. Goodness gracious, my favorite shot. And if I'm on defense, I go back to the returner. Lastly, I go at the feet of the returner's partner. There's a racket over there. I stay away from that. Preview the spots before they start. 2 back works great. If you're getting attacked, nothing wrong with going 2 back. Lob returns are great. You go over the backhand and you go over the backhand. Lob returns, practice them a little bit. They're really good in doubles. You got 3 formations. Normal, high, Australian. You run Australian far more in the ad because you've got a backhand return that's really grooved cross court. Anyone with a good return in the ad, go Australian on them. We've got that. We've got low middle. Anytime that don't go wide, don't lob, roll it low middle. Low middle is a great place to play. Don't cross the service line until you're on offense. This happens a lot. This rule gets punished. If you're basically neutral, you're waiting to see what happens. Your focus is on the other partner over there. And you can do a little J backwards as the returner's partner and go cover the middle. A lot of players run off the court there. They don't go back to the center. There's the J. Got to go to the middle. Game, set, match.